making fun of the arts. We're grandkids and we're playing a part. We're grandkids and we're rocking through school. We love the arts 'cause they are cool. It started first in carriage times and through the Model T. And thanks to proud citizens, she's still here for me. The curtain's up on a new stage of life for us. Don't hold us back, we're ready to bust. We'll grab our friends and our hopes and our dreams. Come on, let's jump on the bus. We're grandkids making fun of the arts. We're grandkids and we're playing a part. We're grandkids and we're rocking through school. We love the arts 'cause they are cool.
Welcome to the GrandKids Arts Education Series. GrandKids is an arts education program created by Mercer University for Central Georgia students.
We love the arts 'cause they are cool.
Hey GrandKids, I'm Ben Jones, Chief Meteorologist for 13 WMAZ and host for your upcoming field trip to the Grand Opera House to see the play Laura Ingalls Wilder. Now what I've done here is I've gone back in time to Jarrell Plantation. Now this is in Juliet, which is just up the road from Macon. It's an historic site that gives you a really cool idea of what life would have been like back in the time when Laura Ingalls Wilder lived. Now how many of you know who Laura Ingalls Wilder was? Well, she was a kid, just like you, who had a family and went to school. She loved to travel like her dad, who she called Pa, and she loved to read like her mom, who she called Ma. When she grew up, she combined these two and became a writer. Now you might have read one of her Little House books, or you might have seen Little House on the Prairie, the TV series that was based on her books. Laura Ingalls was born in 1867. Let's see, how many years ago was that? 141? Any of you know anybody that's 141 years old? I hope not, because then that would mean your great-great-great-grandparents, the time they were born. Laura, her parents, and her older sister Mary moved around to many of the Plain States in the Midwest. On this map, can you point to where the Plain States are? That's right, they're in the middle. They're called the Plain States because of their geography. These states include Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, and Nebraska. All states where Laura Ingalls lived or traveled to during her life. Laura and her father were both pioneering spirits. They loved to travel and discover new places. Now back in their time, the Plain States hadn't been settled yet. So back then people had to be resourceful. So who can tell me what being resourceful means? It means being clever enough to solve problems using what resources you have. There are four main types of resources. You got natural resources like trees, water, plants, animals, and oil. You have human resources. That's like your mind, your strength, how hard you work, how talented you are at certain things. Then you have capital resources. That's what you make, earn, or grow that has value to others, and entrepreneurship, which is the ability to invent new things, work with others, provide a service that other people value, or do something better than most people. When they finally arrived in Walnut Grove, Minnesota, they had to build, grow, or make everything that wouldn't fit in the horse-drawn wagon that brought them there. Just like John Fitzgerald did when he came here in 1847. He built this house using natural resources. Those were the pine trees that he found on this land. Laura Ingalls lived in a time before electricity. Notice how dark it is in here? This is during the middle of the day. It was a time before cars, before running water, and whatever her and her family needed, like whatever they lived in, slept on, ate, whatever they played with, they had to create it all themselves. It's a lot like going camping. How many of you ever been camping? Well, you know that if you've been camping, you have to depend on your own resourcefulness just to live. Without luxuries like TV, radio, computers, electricity, bathrooms. Laura Ingalls' pa had many jobs in his lifetime. He was a railroad worker, he was a farmer, and a justice of the peace. Now, what he did was he would work to make money to buy things that he couldn't grow or make with his own two hands. You got to think about back then, grocery stores, not around. Restaurants, no way. You know, rain's a good thing, and that's what they needed. They depended on it out in the plains to get their crops to grow. Now think about, what's your favorite food? Could you grow or raise the plants and animals that you needed right in your own backyard? In the plains, Laura Ingalls and her family grew corn, barley, field peas, oats, potatoes, soybeans, sunflowers, and wheat. Lots of stuff. They raised small herds of cows and chickens at various times. Well, not as pets, but for eggs, milk, and protein. Who can tell me what topography is? It's the natural and man-made features of an area. Now, what might be a natural feature of an area? Well, it could be like a river, like the Ocmulgee in town, or a mountain, like Stone Mountain, or even a forest. Well, now, what are man-made features? That might be a dam like the Hoover Dam, an earth lodge like the ones at the Ocmulgee National Monument, or a bridge like the one over the Savannah River. Topography is helpful when you're making a map or giving someone directions on how to find you. Now, what sort of natural resources are around you right now? Well, if you're watching this DVD inside, probably not many. All right, well, what about how many man-made resources are around you? It could be the other desk around you, it could be the door to the classroom. Now, how would you tell somebody how to get to the front door of the school to you using that topography? Would you say, hey, take a left at the door and then a right at the desk, and then you'll find me? There's another word that rhymes with topography. That's geography. Who can tell me what geography is? Geography is the description of the physical, biological, and cultural features of the Earth's surface. It's rocks, dirt, grass, trees, mountains, and rivers. It's also plants and animals and other things that grow in a certain area. It's the climate and culture of people who live in an area and how that impacts or affects where they live. There are 8 main geographic areas in the United States. Georgia is in the Atlantic Plain. That stretches from the Gulf of Mexico, near the Texas-Mexico border, through Florida, and all the way north up the Atlantic coast to New York City. Just to the west of the Atlantic Plain is the Appalachian Highlands. That obviously includes the Appalachian, Watchung, and Adirondacks mountain chains. New England and the area once known as the Great Eastern Forests are also in there. The Laurentian uplands are part of an area called the Canadian Shield. That stretches from the extreme northeast into the Great Lakes area. The interior plains, or Great Plains region, stretches from the Mississippi River in the east to the Rocky Mountains in the west. It's part of the interior of the United States. In other words, it isn't near an ocean. This is where Laura Ingalls Wilder and her family lived. The interior highlands is the mountainous areas like the Ozark Plateau, also in the interior United States. The Rocky Mountain Regional is far inland and often considered the border of the western states. The intermontane plateaus is actually 3 different areas that include plateaus, basins, mountain ranges, and gorges between the Rocky and Pacific Mountains, including the Grand Canyon. This is the area most people think of when they think of the Wild West. Finally, all the way across the country on the west coast is the Pacific Mountain System, a mountain range that stretches all the way up the coast of the Pacific Ocean. We just went across the entire contiguous United States. Now, can anybody tell me what contiguous means? Well, it means uninterrupted, continuing. It's all the states that borders touch, so they're all together. All right, now we're going to try a little experiment here, okay? I need everybody to stand up. Go ahead, stand up. Yes, you. Okay, I'll give you a second. All right. Now, everybody's up. Now you are standing as individual states. You are not contiguous right now. But now stretch your arms out. I know, it's gross. Go ahead. And touch the hand of the person next to you. And now once you all link together, you are now contiguous states. Great teamwork. Now put your hands down. You're not touching each other's hands. You are no longer contiguous states. You are now separate again. Now, we've got all of our states that are contiguous, but did you know there are 2 of them that do not touch other states? Do you know who they are? Well, one of them is usually a pretty warm place. A lot of people like to go there. And one of them is a really cold place. A lot of people like to go there too. If you said Hawaii and Alaska, you are correct. They are the 2 non-contiguous United States. Well, grandkids, we have traveled all the way from Jarrell Plantation in Juliet, Georgia, all the way to the Great Plains where Laura Ingalls Wilder lived. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to meet her. You can learn more about her in your GrandKids Gazette. And I will see you soon at the Grand Opera House.